Welcome back to episode 234 of Dear Diaries, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast brought to you by us here, the staff at Brew Hoop. I'm one of your normal co-hosts, Jackson Gross, joined once again with another normal co-host, Kyle Carr. Kyle, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm just glad this past week is over. Like I need a moment. I just want a peace of mind, and I thankfully got it. And then as soon as that peace of mind comes in, I see a certain certain investment happen, and I'm like,
yeah.
bruh. What, bruh? Read the room.
And we can get to it a little bit later, but yeah, it's such a conflict of interest because the fact that people can trade on whether or not he's going to get traded,
Yeah,
is a bit of a problem.
and it's like best case scenario, it's just a poor timing conflict of interest. Worst case, Terry Rozier situation.
Yeah. And then he also had announced another sponsorship, and I just want to get your opinion on this. You're more of a soccer person than I am. What was worse, the Kelce sponsorship or the fact that he purchased some ownership into Chelsea?
It's still the Kelce sponsor. Like, the Kelce one is annoying. They don't need the money. They are a perfectly successful team. They do not need more money, more investment. It's annoying, and it's front running because, of course, you go with the team that's been winning the last 5 years, and ironically, the one season they're not winning, it goes to the team that's owned by Saudi Arabia. So I was like, I just can't win. Giannis, go start a women's team. Go start a women's team in Wisconsin instead, or invest in a women's soccer. If you're gonna do it in America or Greece. But why? It's annoying, but it's not as bad as a Kelce sponsor.
Or at the very least, invest in the Premier League equivalent of the Bucks when you first got there.
Sure. Yeah,
I'm sure the Wolves could use some extra cash flow.
I was gonna say Crystal Palace, respectable club. Aston Villa. Wes Edens also has investment and ownership in Aston Villa. He could have just done that.
It's
annoying, but it's not as bad. It's not morally wrong. It's just question. It's just okay, this is just dumb. The other one's okay, this is morally a problem. I can't defend that. I can't defend one of them. The other one I can kind of defend.
Yeah, but I mean, all that aside, I agree. It's nice to just focus on hoops for the next 2 months, however good or bad it's gonna end up being. It's just gonna be nice. We don't have that looming cloud overhead. But let's actually get into those hoops because it was another 3-game week for the Bucks. After a atrocious week the week prior, in which ended in a game where they scored 79 points against the Boston Celtics, they got an NBA game happened between them and the Bulls. The Bulls were missing a whole bunch of pieces, both due to trades and just regular injuries. I think it was no Josh Giddey, no Nikola Vucevic, no Kevin Huerter. I think they threw out no Trey Jones.
Anyone over 6'7" basically was not available.
Exactly. But the Bucks were able to get the win, 131-115. Even though I was there, that feels like such a past, that happened 30 years ago. It was just such an unremarkable game for the most part. I mean, credit Amir Coffey had his Bucks season high, 16 points. Or no, wait, no, I think that was against New Orleans. I'm getting the games mixed up. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, overall, just kind of a game that happened. But then we got a good win for the potential tank job for the rest of the year. They played the New Orleans Pelicans and won 141-137 in overtime. This was the good Amir Coffey game. He scored a season high 16 points for the Bucks. The Bucks probably should have won it in regulation, but the officials said that Miles, his nanometer of his
heel
foot was out of bounds. So they disallowed it. What was a go ahead 3, but they still were able to take care of business in overtime against the Pelicans. And then it happened. A miracle for the 2025-26 Milwaukee Bucks. They finally won 3 games in a row this season.
Who would have thought?
It should have been by a bigger margin. They were up 20 with about 5 minutes to go, but the Pacers do what the Pacers do. Went on a 15-0 run, made it close, but the Bucks were still able to close out Indiana 105-99. Good games for Ryan Rollins. In the first game after the trade deadline. So big stuff going on with that. And again, it may not be good for the tank, but it was a much needed win to beat the Pacers after what happened last season. But Kyle, what did you learn from this week?
I think the thing that I learned, and we'll talk about yours because yours kind of ties into what you've said, but it's interesting to see how much the youth aspect of this team is really starting to come in between trading for Ousmane Dieng. Jericho Sims had a really good game against the Pacers. I think he had more minutes played than Miles Turner even did. We're seeing with Ryan Rollins' emergence. Obviously, AJ Green is still young. Didn't have the best shooting week after the Bulls game. He was really good, but the other 2 games not so much. But we're starting to see, the younger players really starting to come into their own. And Pete Nance has still been very reliable lately. So I feel like it's a matter of when, not if, he's going to get that final roster spot that's now open. So I think it's just more we're starting to see like the younger players really take that step in. And Kevin Porter Jr. coming back obviously was another young player. So I think, yes, it still has obviously the quote unquote older players that they'll need, like Giannis, Bobby, Miles Turner. But it's like, and even I guess Gary Trent Jr., even though he's not like old, but he's also not young. But
Yeah,
I think we're starting to see that. And I think the next head coach is going to come in and have this roster full of younger guys that at the very least are going to play hard. Like, yes, there's still going to be, possible questions of talent for like someone like Jericho Sims. Like, okay, the talent might not be there, but the size and the effort is there. And with Pete Nance, it's like the basketball IQ is there. AJ Green has, a great NBA skill set. Ryan Rollins is showing to be a very good all-rounded player. So it'll be good for whichever coach comes in next year to like take over his team and potentially whatever draft pick they end up with, if they choose to do that, or, if we go into the summer and have to face another set of rumors and you bring in whatever haul for that. But I think we're starting to see it. And before the Bucks were so reliant on veteran players to really get them over the line and get their season going, between buyout options, between just adding more vet minimum guys. Well, now it's like, okay, you're still doing good in terms of like value for the amount they're getting paid, but now it's the younger players that are really showing it. And I think that's pretty cool. And, that's John Horst. I always laugh is John Horst, the drafter, has a very mixed track record. John Horst, in terms of 2 ways, crushing it. Absolutely stunning.
Yeah, we're like you said, we're well on our way to seeing his third like 2-way guy become a standard contract player. Starting with AJ Green, who was undrafted, and then Rollins was a cast off from Golden State and Washington, and now Pete Nance. I think I forgot who they traded because they think they got him or he was cut by a team and they signed him in the middle of last season.
Yeah, I was like, all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah, Pete Nance is getting a 2-way. I was like, I have never heard of Pete Nance or what he has done ever in his life, but yeah, I forgot.
I vaguely remember his time at Northwestern. Like I remember when his college days. I didn't even remember he went to North Carolina. Yeah, he was. Oh, that's right. He played in Cleveland's G League team and then was part of the Sixers G League team. And he got waived in early February of last year. Actually, almost a year to the day. It was February 6th of last year.
Yeah.
He was cut by the Sixers, part of the Jared Butler trade, and then was signed on the last day of February 28th. So just kind of another random two-way guy coming in. And Doc even talked about it this week that like his best skill is his IQ because that allows him to get to spots first. Like, yeah, he may not be the fastest or like obviously athletic relative to NBA standards, not the most athletic guy either.
Right. But
he knows where to be on the court and knows where to go and know how to run whatever is being called. And hey, that I forget which game it was this week. I think it was the New Orleans game. He had a good one. That 3-point shot looks really good. Like,
it's such a weird look though, because it seems like it almost reminds me of Delhi's, where it's like the way it goes about shooting it just looks weird, but it works. I don't know, because he has like this weird like wind up motion.
Yeah. So yeah, for me though, there I feel like sometimes it comes out too flat consistently. Like there's too much of a line drive to it at certain points. So just tweak it, but like don't change it too much because it's still really good. I mean, like I think he's shooting near like 40% from three since he's gotten his chance to be in the rotation. So it's like I ain't gonna hold you. I ain't gonna hold you to that.
Right.
Yeah, let's see. He is. Oh, my bad. Putting some disrespect on his name. He's shooting nearly 54% from three on 3 attempts since the Atlanta game. My bad, Pete.
Even
bad.
better.
Let me put some respect on your name. My bad.
Oh man.
So yeah, I love it because it's interesting to see the evolution of this team to go from the campaigns and the DeLon Wrights and the Patrick Beverleys of the world and have one of the oldest rosters in the league to now like Thanasis, I think, is the oldest player on the team.
Yeah.
At this stage. And I mean the oldest guy who gets minutes is Giannis, Bobby, and Kuz. And they're barely over 30.
Yeah. And Miles Turner, I think, is like 30 himself.
Yeah, I think he just turned 30, if memory serves. But yeah, it's been great to see, and I'm wondering how this all looks once Giannis is back. That's always been my biggest thing. Is like, yes, they're getting all these opportunities because he's not in the lineup, but like, how do you keep developing the young talent while you have Giannis out there? Because he says he wants to play, and that Doc has made that clear. He's going to play, and they're not going to just shut him down for the rest of the year. As of now, that it could always change. But yeah, I'm wondering your thoughts. Like, how do you think they could still incorporate what all the young guys are doing while having Giannis out there?
I think it'll still work just because I feel like even though Giannis, like Pete Nance's positional, where Pete Nance plays, normally that's something that could be filled with Giannis, Bobby, Kuzma. And I still think he'll find a way because, again, he has such a good basketball IQ that it's getting to he has to get playing time. Maybe he doesn't get as many minutes, but I think somewhere around 10 minutes would be perfectly fine for Pete Nance to get. And if you want to like find a way to stagger it, that's fine too. We've also seen games where if Miles Turner is available, Giannis is pretty much the center, even though the list Kyle Kuzma is the center. So I think there is a way for Pete Nance to get that play time. I'm wondering if Dieng, that's the one where I'm kind of like, I don't know where he's going to factor it, because that means you're likely taking minutes from either AJ Green or Gary Trent Jr., or does someone like Gary Harris now see his play time significantly reduced? So I think it's going to be, I think they'll make it work just because you kind of have to, like, if you're John Horst, I mean, he's not going to tell Doc Rivers, you got to play these younger guys. But I think John Horst is sitting there looking like, okay, Yang's going to be a free agent, like a restricted free agent. We got to figure out like what we think he's going to provide and how much. And then you still got Pete Nance, where it's like, we're going to have to do something with this two-way because that's going to end soon. So I think they'll find a way to incorporate it all, even when Giannis is back. It just might be some games we might not see much of Pete Nance, and then the next game we'll see like 15 minutes, or some games we'll get 20 minutes of Dieng, and maybe one of Gary Trent Jr. or AJ Green doesn't play if they're struggling. So I do think there is that pathway, and obviously that's also contingent on guys like Bobby, if he's healthy and how he'll fit in. Kuzma, obviously, if he's healthy. I think Doc's trying to do a whole bunch of different stuff. Like we saw like Andre Jackson Jr. minutes, like randomly out of nowhere. We've seen players starting where it's like, oh, like Amir Coffey just randomly started 2 games. We're like, okay, sure. So I think Doc will also find a way to do it, but it is definitely I don't know what you're planning on doing, but I'm just gonna let it ride.
Yeah, and even you bring up the starting lineup point, like when I sent that in on Friday, like Jericho Sims is starting at the 4. Like what? But hey, he apparently is the new big wing stopper. I mean, he did a great job on Pascal Siakam. Like, I don't think he even hit 20 points. I think he had like 18 or 19 points in that game. And I mean, he did a pretty good job on Zion. He helped force the ball loose and that one possession in overtime. And then Zion commits the offensive foul on Amir Coffey. So it's like, okay, is Jericho actually being a productive player, or is this kind of like that? He had that 2-game stretch at the beginning of December where he had that like great game against the Pistons when Giannis goes out, and then he had to get another 15 good one,
point, like 10 board game or whatever.
Yeah, and then he had a pretty good game like the next one after that, and then he goes into like not in the rotation anymore. So yeah, well, there's a lot of pieces. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, when I think about it, like the thing with like Pascal Siakam and Zion is Jericho has the size in terms of like muscle to stay with them and not get overpowered, but he also has enough athleticism that he can stay with them as well. And it's not like he's like having to go all the way out in the wing and like have to guard on the perimeter, which also helps. So I think that might be a factor. It's just like it's very matchup like favorable for him because he does have the size and speed to stick with a Zion or Pascal Siakam. Obviously, if it was like, I'm trying to think of like a team, like if it was Karl-Anthony Towns, maybe that would be a little bit tougher for someone like Jericho Sims. Or if you have kind of like more that slender, like big that can play more on the perimeter, I don't think that would be a good matchup for him. But for someone that is more likely to operate within the arc, I think he could do the job, which maybe that's why we saw him start, in the Pacers games. It's like, well, we got to throw someone out there. We don't think Kuzma's going to be the best option for Pascal Siakam, so let's have Jericho Sims.
Right, and I mean, Kuzma didn't even play because he had like left calf soreness or something.
Yeah, like it felt like a late thing, but
it was. It wasn't like it wasn't.
I was like, wait, I did the preview. It was definitely late.
Yeah, so it's yeah, I agree because I'm just thinking about some of the other games I watched when they had him like when Giannis was out the first go around and they played the Sixers and they had Jericho on like Paul George, and it's like, why are you doing this to Jericho? He doesn't deserve this.
Right. Like that's pushing it.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I agree. Like, I honestly, although I think Jericho could do a pretty good job against Towns considering the job Kuzma did, albeit like right at the beginning of the season, but I think he still has enough for that. But yeah, I think you're right. It's definitely going to be matchup dependent, and it's not Jericho's not going to start, especially once Kuzma is healthy or like depending on who they play. But if they can continue to find ways to get like Jericho involved, like dude, just guard the big wings and go rebound. That's all we need you to do, big guy. Go play like 15, 20 minutes and do what you need to do. So right. At least while Giannis is out, of course, but even then, just honestly at that point, just guard the backup bigs and play 10, 15 minutes and rebound. That's all we need out of you, big guy.
And that's fine because for a team that struggles with rebounding, you need one guy out there that's going to get the rebounds.
Yeah, and they grabbed 13 offensive rebounds against the Pacers, which is the second time they've done that, and I think they only have like 3 or 4 games with more than 13 this season in terms of offensive rebounding. So big ups on that.
We'll take it.
As for me, though, I'd have to say that yes, this week, if you want to look at just like this season is lost, they shouldn't push for the play-in, whatever you want to say about that. Yes, it was bad for the tank because they won 3 games in a row. Although, and they did move down in the lottery standings. They're now 9th. They were tied for 8th at one point with the Memphis Grizzlies. So, and if you want to look at it that way, but for the team, especially with it being deadline week and everything else going on, the horrible week they had before with those blowout losses and everything going on, this team needed this week to happen. Like you beat up on little brother again, even with everybody being out. And then you actually do get a good win for the tank because that helps separate the Bucks and the Pelicans for swapping purposes. And then you beat your now arch rival at this point, are the Pacers, especially after the last 2 years in the playoffs. So it was a much needed for the vibes week, and even the tweet that Giannis made with that clip of Wolf of Wall Street where he's like, "Legends don't chase, they attract." Doc called that like a unifying force in the locker room, which is like,
Sure.
like with some of the rumors being true, most of it not being true. It's like the team needed that in the worst way to be like, okay, we're done with all this distraction and everything going on. It's such an intense focus on Giannis, and to get 3 wins, finally get that monkey off their back. Now, overall, long term, it's in their best interest to continue to not win. Praying for a balancing 0-3 week this week with the Magic and the Thunder on tap. But just for the guys in that room, they needed this. And I think they doubled the amount of wins they have without Giannis in the lineup this year.
No, they did this win streak. There were 3 and I think 15 or something like that without Giannis.
I think it was up to 3 and 18.
Yeah, so it was bad, but
so yes, it was not against the greatest competition in the world with the Bulls, Pacers, and Pelicans. But again, you needed this and to show that you can actually win games and close games without Giannis.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I feel like I understand you want the best lottery position possible, but at the same time, you can't get too close to the danger zone because if you end up ahead of the Pelicans, you lose your pick. And it's like, this would be a terrible year for them to lose it because it's like, not only did you not have a good season, but you don't even have like that talented player that can come in and help you with that pick going to then a team in your own conference. So I think in terms of the Pelicans win, obviously you have to win that game. And I know we were kind of joking about like, well, we want to like the Pacers are like, okay, but I don't want the Pacers to be happy. So can't have that. And I think it's fine. Like, yes, getting the wins. And I've kind of been more of the mindset of against the teams that are near the bottom, like the Pacers, Nets, you know, when they play the Pelicans again, Sacramento, like win those games because those are still games that can help you because they're not that far off the play-in. Like, even though things are as terrible as they've been, they're only like a game, like 2 games out of the play-in spot. So it's like you even still have a chance. Granted, I don't think they do anything in said play-in situation, but at the same time, you can still do something. And that's assuming, you know, the Hornets, who are playing the best basketball out of anyone right now.
Yep.
Like, can we really guarantee they're going to keep playing at this level? So I think it's fine. Win the games against the bad teams. And if you lose to the Magic this week, that's perfectly okay. If you lose to the Thunder, yeah, that's expected. Like, I don't have a problem with that. I still want this team to, you know, give a shit and win and try and win. Like, I don't want them to go too blatant, we're not going to tank. Because, again, it's not like you have the luxury of for sure having your first-round pick. So making sure that you still hover, like, having the 10th pick isn't going to be bad. Like, that's still going to be a talented player in a very deep draft. You can still get a talented player that can help you right away, even at pick 8 through 11. And if you get into the top 4, and then you're running the risk of you might not get to keep that pick, and all this losing was basically for nothing.
Well, it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world if their pick does jump into the top 4, because either that means the Pelicans are staying in the top 4, and depending on how that order shifts out, you still have a top 4 pick.
Potentially, yeah.
And then if you kick the Pelicans out of the top 4, I think the worst they can be right now is 6th. So if that remains the case, you're guaranteed a top 6 pick at worst.
Fair. I don't want to, but that gets too complicated for me. I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to play the risk of, okay, I got to hope that another team has a better chance of finishing higher in the lottery than the Bucks. Like, that's just too much chance to screw around with.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it is like, at the end of the day, like, you want as much separation between yourself and the Pelicans, because that's where the swap would happen, and then whoever's higher that goes to Atlanta. Because again, worst case scenario is the Bucks win the lottery and your pick drops to 7, and not that that's a bad scenario overall, because again, still a top 7 pick,
right?
But that is the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah, like, you definitely don't want that to occur. And now also with like the Pacers having a weird protection as well, like, you don't want to like now that we're kind of in that post deadline, there's a lot of moving parts that could happen, and I think it's just more of this is a good enough draft that picking around, like I said, it's a good enough draft that you can pick around 8 or 9 and still get a very good player. So like, that's the nice thing as well. It's not like last year I was like, maybe you do want like the top 4 pick, because it's just like there's just such a significant drop off after, like the Cooper Flag, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper tier.
Yes.
Well, now it's like, I don't know who the first pick's going to be. Like, it could be Cameron Boozer, but it could be Dibnasta. It could be Peterson. It could be Caleb Wilson. Like, there's definitely guys now where it's like it could be any of them, and he looked good last night.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, though, the draft, like in the 7 to 10 range or 7 to 12, 11 range, was actually pretty good. Because you had the Pelicans who got Jeremiah Fears at 7. You had the Nets get Igor Demon, who's looking really good, at 8. Colin Murray Boyles, I'm not sure how he's doing. I mean, he's averaging 8 and averaging 22 minutes for the Raptors. Malawach hasn't played a whole lot for the Suns, so that's whatever. But then pick 11 was Cedric Howard, who's been awesome for Memphis. So this draft could end up being like really, really good. Like the top half of this draft, outside of so far out of Asenge, has been, and maybe like Sorber, has been really good.
He's been like, even he is like, all right. Maybe that's more of a, is it just, yeah.
But yeah, like there so far, honestly, there's only one miss in the top 15 of this draft. And of course, it's the Bulls with the Senge.
And that was a gamble. Yeah, and that's one of those where it's like, I get why you do it in terms of a gamble. It just didn't work so far.
Yeah, so but yeah. So again, even we thought at that time this 2025 draft was weaker, the fact that people are saying this draft is stronger, the Bucks are still, like, and you said, in a good position to get someone really, really talented to add to a young core that I think needs a young star on top of it. Because I think Rollins and Porter can be like not necessarily the second or third best player on a championship team, but are good role players to where, like, let's say you get a star 3 in the draft. You then could have Rollins as your starting point guard, your do-it-all guy, and then Kevin Porter Jr. is basically point guard Bobby Portis, if we're looking at it from a championship perspective. So there's a lot of good stuff going on for the Bucks right now, which we have not been really able to say much of this season.
What I feel like it's also like the Bucks are in this weird position where if you do just well enough, you can get into a play-in. And yeah, it might not be ideal to go into a playoff and then get the doors blown off of you. But I think that at least in terms of if you want to try and convince Giannis to stay, that is like a good thing to like show like, okay, no, we have the talent and we got into the playoffs, like we have the talent, like we're getting there. Like, yes, it was a rough year overall, but we are making positive steps towards it. And like you could still have that, and maybe that convinces Giannis. And then on the other hand, it's like if you lose a few games, like okay, sure, like depends. It's a matter of how you lose. I think like if you could just have like a lot of good competitive losses where it's like, all right, you know, you were there for a while and then it fell off. I don't want the Celtics game. I don't want those kind of losses because that's not enjoyable for anyone.
And we've talked about this before in terms of like how to compare the tanks. Like you want a Toronto Raptors style tank from last year where they're just a really competitive team, but they just could not close games. Yeah. And then they made a trade, not saying Ousmane Dieng is Brandon Ingram, but maybe that kind of trade happens in the offseason for the Bucks where you get that kind of guy to bring in. And then you have this really good season where you're a full-fledged playoff team again. Yeah, you don't want to be a Utah Jazz. The shameless tanking going on in Utah right now is disgusting. Like, I'm okay with it from like the Wizards' perspective because their pick is top 8 protected.
Yeah,
and that's like you don't want to play an injured Anthony Davis if Trae Young's leg is really that bad. There's no point in risking it.
And like with the Wizards, you have plenty of other young players that you could still, and it's not like the Wizards can go out there, throw all those other young players out there. And it's not like, okay, we're just intentionally tanking it. Well, we have like our 2 most talented players are injured and we're working with what we have. And like, that's more acceptable as opposed to the Jazz where it's like, hey, Lauri Markkanen is killing it. Bench him. Don't bring him back.
Yeah, that's what happened with Jaren Jackson Jr. too. They pulled him after he had a really good game with them. And I mean, I guess it looks like their pick is. It says it's protected on Tankathon, but it says like 1 through 8 and then 9 through 30. So I don't know what's going on with that.
That doesn't work. Feel like there's something there. Like,
yeah.
Is it like this year it's 1 through 8 and then after it's like 9 through 30? Like maybe that's what it is.
That could be it. I'll look into it in a little bit, but yeah, it was just like if that's the case where they could potentially lose their first round pick, I'll give them a slight pass. But then the way they're doing it, again, it's not because of like they're in a close game with playing their guys and they lose. This is like, oh, our guys are doing too good, and we have to pull them to lose. Like,
right.
I was talking. I think I mentioned this like with Finn, and I'm like, how do like the players feel about this? Like, how does like Jaren Jackson Jr. and Lauri Markkanen feel about like you're basically taking me out for an entire quarter in a game that we're winning just so you make sure our ping pong balls are in the right spot?
It reminds me of the Sixers when they were doing their whole process, like shamelessness, where it's like, I don't like, there's nothing to be gained. Like, yeah, you get a couple ping pong balls, but also all you're doing is establishing a loser culture, which I think to this day is affecting them. Like, you still have your star player was going through all this intentional losing and was never around winning. And it's kind of like you have this almost like loser culture / mentality that's still there with the Sixers because it was like such an obvious time. And like that's why it's like, oh yeah, Ben Simmons. And like you have a bunch of guys that all they've been around is losing. And then when they first actually have a chance to win, Ben Simmons passes away an easy dunk to win the game. It's just like you can't unlearn a lot of that. And I feel like with the Jazz, it's another one where it's like you're not a free agent destination. It's not like you can get like a big name and things can turn around. Like,
yeah,
at some point, and like people are going to look and be like, why would I go there? They're not even trying. Like, I'm going to go there, and they're going to, like, what? We lose our first, like, 10, 20 games out of, like, 30, and we're just like, screw it. We give up for 2/3 of the season. Like, it doesn't work, I feel, as though long term. And I think that's one of those where there's, like, intentional losing and like, how that makes you look worse. There's incompetence, which I would say falls more like Washington for a long stretch, Sacramento for a good stretch, even like to an extent Charlotte, like where it's just like, okay, it's just general incompetence all around, and you just got to like clean house and like just try and reset and redo. And then there's kind of the like Dallas before they got Derek Lively, where it's like, okay, this is not good and it doesn't feel good, but there was at least other signs that like things could turn around. We actually do just need like one guy to make a difference, and then they got him, and then go to the finals.
Yep. Yeah, and I looked it up just for the Jazz pick. It looks like it's like there's some weird swaps and protections, but it looks like their pick is top 8 protected.
Okay.
There's just some like weird swaps in there somewhere that I don't totally understand.
Like if the Jazz were to somehow win like the rest of their games, and all of a sudden like then it gets.
Yeah, there's like let's see, Jazz. Okay, here's their own pick is if it's not top 8, it would go to OKC, but it looks like Jazz have option to swap 26 first with Timberwolves, unprotected if Jazz first round is by 2025, which it wasn't. Else Jazz 9 through 30. Yeah, it's the way they explain these.
Honestly, I think we need to
make
make a change where like things just need to be a lot more straightforward. Like, okay, you get the first round pick, or you get a swap. Like none of this, like, well, if it's this, it's it. No, just make it very straightforward and simple for me.
Well, it's not even like the protections, because the protections make sense. Like with that Pacers first rounder, it's like, okay, 1 through 4, it stays with the Pacers. 5 through 9, it goes to the Clippers. 10 to 30, it stays with the Pacers.
That's fine.
But like these other protections and swaps with these other teams, it's like, oh god, like, put it in English, please.
Right. I think it just needs to be a swap where it's like, okay, so this year, it just whoever like it's like even with the Bucks, like, okay, whoever gets the better one, it's this. And then trading that, and I feel like you can't trade a swap pick you up with another team. Maybe that's me just being like a boomer.
Well, I mean, that's what they did with the Kuzma trade. They re-swapped 2028 so they get the least favorable of their own Washington and now Portland's pick.
Yeah.
For 2028. So
this is our way of trying to fix, you know, how we tried fixing the NFL with their Pro Bowl and stuff. We're not going to fix the NBA. Just make it there. Just have your first round picks be simplified. Like we have 2 rounds of a draft. It should not be this complicated to figure out who picks where. Like, good job bringing the shooting stars back for the All-Star game, but now we needed to simplify these first round pick trades.
one step at a time. One step at a time. Well, since we're talking about trades and draft picks and all that kind of stuff, I think it's about time we actually talk about the guy the Bucks brought in at the trade deadline, which is former number 11 overall pick Ousmane Dieng from the Oklahoma City Thunder, originally picked by the New York Knicks, because the NBA continued. That's another thing about the NBA draft. If like there's a trade, just let the team that like picked, like made the trade, just like have that be their pick right away. That's how it works in the NFL. Just do it. Anyway, this is,
because I always hate where it's like, oh yeah, the Bucks drafted Dirk, and the game was like, no, that was never they were never going to have him. Like, stop making this narrative.
Like yes, it's bad it's bad they traded out of the pick that was Dirk, but yeah, they never drafted Dirk and traded him away. So this is his 4th season in the league. He really hasn't had a chance to play all that much with OKC. He's played in 136 games over 4 years. He's played 27 up to this point. He's been averaging basically 11 minutes a game, 3.7 points, 1.6 rebounds, and assists. The shooting percentages actually look pretty decent. He's shooting 41.8 from the field, 36% from 3. I mean, of the free throws he's taken, he hasn't missed a free throw this year. So I guess that's good.
You gotta take the wins.
But yeah, this is just an interesting, and I've been researching him for a bit. He really does have like a really smooth game. Like when I saw some of the percentages from three earlier in his career, where it was like 26% as a rookie, 30% his second year, I was like, okay, this guy is just like not a shooter. But no, this guy has a really good, like, smooth jump shot. It looks like he's got a good basketball IQ. He can do a couple of things in a pick and roll situation as the roll man. And he's a really good cutter too. And he actually has a little bit of a off the dribble 3-point game. He can kind of create his own shot a little bit. Not to anything like great extent, because again, he hasn't played a lot. But he's an interesting piece, to say the least. He's a talented guy, just hasn't had a chance to play.
Yeah, and I feel like he feels like one where it feels as though we don't know how good he is because he hasn't had a chance to show how good he is. Which makes sense. Like that Oklahoma City Thunder team's like, where were you going to play him? Like, what were you going to do with him, with all the other guys that they have? And I think he's also one where, especially early in his career, because he felt like very raw and he was still growing into his frame. Like, I feel like that was also a big thing about it was he was not finished physically. That sounds weird to say, but you know, he was still growing. So it is kind of in that I don't know what he's actually going to be good at because we don't know how his body is going to develop. And now I think it's like, okay, we might have an idea. He might be someone that can provide some 3-and-D spacing. Like he could be a 3-and-D type of prototype. I do think in terms of his abilities in the open court is where I'm feeling most optimistic. Like he seems like someone that can get into transition. He seems like someone that is going to be able to take one part of his game and say, okay, I can make it work within the team. And I think that's like helpful as well. Like we don't need him to be, you know, an accept like star player, but we need him to be able to come into the team, know what he's needed to do, kind of like with Pete Nance, use a basketball IQ or have a well-rounded enough skill that it can help out the rest of the team. And maybe we'll get that this year because he'll have that opportunity to show what he can do as well. Plus, you know, having a 7-foot wingspan is always nice.
Yeah. And I mean,
can't be mad about that.
No. And you're right. When I looked at like NBA Draft Net, and that was like one of the things their scouts said, like that he needed to build into his body more. He's a really skinny guy. Like,
yeah,
on Basketball Reference, it says he's 6'9" at 185 pounds. So he is not the biggest guy in the world. So he definitely needs to continue to build into his frame. I think I'd like to see him maybe add another 10 or maybe 10 pounds of muscle. Like, I don't think he needs to be over 200 pounds, honestly, for what he does. But yeah, he's an interesting prospect. And I think short term, whether the Bucks decide to bring him back or not, because like you said, he is a restricted free agent. They could renounce his rights. They could not tender a qualifying offer. Even if they do tender a qualifying offer and he signs it, he could get traded in something at some point. So it'll be interesting to see if he does fit on this team long term. But short term, for the last 32 games, it'll be good to see. Like, it made sense for him not to play against the Pacers. I was kind of hoping when they went up 20, they would finally put him in just to get him some run. But obviously the Bucks nearly blew it, and that wasn't going to happen. But hopefully with a couple of days of practice, Saturday and Sunday, he'll play on Monday against Orlando. Because you need to see what you have out of him. You got 32 games to evaluate how he fits with this team, with and without Giannis. Because if these calf injuries continue to happen, you're going to need to know how he fits with this team without him. I think he can fit pretty well, just even in the half court. Like, I agree, the transition stuff, and I think the defense. He's in the style, like in terms of being a rim protector, he reminds me, like as a Giannis, where he could be like a off the ball, like
Yeah,
going to support rim
like a
protector and
free,
like
like
block.
the free safety, like help defender.
Yes, he's not
Yeah,
going to be your Brooke Lopez's Miles Turner, where he is like you're going to park him in the paint and have him like guard the rim. He's a guy where like he can support off and kind of roam around,
yeah,
which I think would be nice to have. And then, but even like half court offense, he's just he knows where to be on the court, and he's a really good catch and shoot 3-point shooter. I have to look up like how he's done over the course of his career with that, but at least in the highlights I watched, his form looks good, and he's always in a spot where he can drill it.
yeah.
So there are things to like where he could play next to Giannis at least offensively as just a floor spacer, which would be great to have at his size. And provided they keep Kuzma long term, that's a great sub for Kuzma, provided like he just takes that next step.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like John Horst has done a good job at making these kind of trades where you offload someone that it was clear they were not going to be a fit for this team or provide enough help for this team. And he has been able to turn those players into someone that has provided something. Like we saw it last year, obviously, with Kevin Porter Jr. and Marjon Beauchamp trade. Like there's John Horst has made these kind of small margin, like uneventful trades that have worked out really well. And I think this could be another one where, yeah, you can see these next 30 games, like what is it that he's going to be able to provide? And again, he doesn't need to be like excellent role player right off the gate. But if there's something there where you can say, okay, maybe we get him a 2-year deal, like a 1-year team option, second year kind of deal, that's not bad. Or if you get him, another 1-year prove it deal and see what happens after, like you can figure those things out. And I think that's also something that John Horst is probably thinking, like, hey, he's young, he might provide something. It's a low risk, medium reward trade. Why not go for it? And I think in terms of his position as well as a wing kind of guy, the Bucks need that. Like you have, like, I don't know if it's not likely Gary Trent Jr. is coming back next year. And then you're kind of thinking AJ Green will obviously be there, but there's not a stranglehold of minutes being taken up. Like it's not like the guard position was like, okay, you got Ryan Reynolds and Kevin Porter Jr. basically taking all those minutes. It's not like the bigs where you have Giannis, Bobby Portis, Miles Turner taking up all those minutes. Like the wings are kind of more of a free for all at this point, and that's not a bad thing. So I think there is something to it, and it's kind of like what I said with the youth aspect. Like we're seeing this team get younger and younger, and I think that's going to be a benefit as well, so that they are able to play a little bit faster. They're able to possibly be more aggressive defensively, and I think that all that can just bode. Anyone's expecting him to be more than what he is or what he could be. And that's fine. I think that's going to help him as well, kind of going with that lower expectation. Like, yeah, you were a lottery pick, but that was also 3 years ago.
Yeah. And the great thing about it too is that he came into the league so young, because for those who don't know, he started out, he played in like the 3rd division of like French basketball, and then played a year in the NBL with the New Zealand Breakers, and then joined the NBA. He was 19 years old in his rookie season. He's only 22. So this is another young piece for two guys who we'll get into for a second, who are kind of already at their peak and aren't going to necessarily have a ton of room to grow. So, and just thinking about like who's going to be back at that wing position, he has been shooting the ball, at least on the court pregame, but who knows what's going on with Taurean Prince. He'll probably be back because he'll pick up his player option. Gary Harris is going to pick up his player option. So you already got those guys, and you got Green and Kuzma at the wing. So like you said, no one's taking a stranglehold of it, because it's kind of a up in the air position. So there could be spots for him. But I think it would be nice if he could take like that true like backup small forward role and kind of run with it, where you can then start to play Gary Trent and Gary Harris at shooting guard again. So you don't have to play them in small ball lineups with them as the 3 and get toasted by the Luka Doncic's and whoever else's of the world at that spot. So I think maybe not starting small forward ever for this team, but definitely that true like backup 3-4, I think is something they really, really need.
Yeah, and when I was looking up his like comparisons, I saw a lot of Nicholas Batum, Kyle Anderson, which that's not bad. Like that's
a great role player.
Right. That is a great 6-man, 7th-man option. And for the Bucks, you need something like that. Obviously, if he could be a superstar, great. Probably not going to happen at this point. But if you can get a really, really good role player that can come in, like if he has to start in the moment, he's going to be reliable. Great. That is all we can ask for. Like I would take a Nicholas Batum, Kyle Anderson level player.
Yeah. I mean, and even just thinking about that championship team, just like basically finding their PJ Tucker again. That just reliable backup wing who can defend and shoot threes. Nice thing is Dieng can do a little bit more than that, than shoot corner threes.
And has some playmaking like ability. Like I wouldn't say he's like, star point forward, but
there's something there to
he could do it in a pinch, in an absolute like last ditch moment.
Yeah, and plus you can never have too much championship experience, because not only is he an NBA champion, but he was the G League Finals MVP.
You know what? You gotta take it.
And I did watch some of his highlights from that series they played against the Maine Celtics. He has, like, you talk about those playmaking, like he has that in him where he made some pretty good passes from what I can recall in those spots. So maybe again with a role where he actually is in the top 8 or 9 of a rotation to start out would be a massive improvement than him being the 12th to 15th guy off a championship contender.
Yeah. And again, like no shame in not play with the Oklahoma City Thunder.
No, like
no shame in that.
There have been some really talented players on that team that don't get a ton of run. Like I'm sure like the other Jalen Williams could have a bigger role on another team or something like that. Like there are so many guys. Like imagine Cason Wallace with his own team. I mean, he plays a bunch for OKC already, but imagine him and like maybe even like an Isaiah Joe.
Yeah. Which isn't bad. And I know Doc was even saying like, no, he's talented, and he almost made the French Olympic team a couple of years ago, which that is impressive because that French Olympic team was the second best team.
Yeah.
And he almost made it, and that was when he was 20, like 19, 20 at that point, or 19 through 21. I don't know what age he was at that point, but like
he would have been 20. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's impressive to be that close to being on that talented French team.
With not having the pedigree of like, or the immediate God-given talent of a Victor Wembanyama or something like that, where like they're so overwhelmingly good already. But yeah, to be that close it is really impressive.
I will say, when I was looking up, he played when he was on the New Zealand Breaker. You want to know who one of his teammates was?
Who's that?
Hugo Basone. Bucks draft pick Hugo Basone in the 2022 draft.
Jeez, what is that, like pick 64?
Oh, it was late. Yeah, no, it was. I think it was like the 58th pick or so. It was like late, and technically the Pacers drafted him, but then it was traded to the Bucks.
Yeah. Oh my god. Weirdly, after you say that, I vaguely remember that name now. That is crazy.
I was hoping he'd be a solid dude. Like I was like, oh, he could be a talented point guard. We just got to give him 2 years, and it never came.
Yep, he was 2 years away from being 6 years away.
Yep.
But
I'm sure he's doing fine over in Europe.
Oh yeah,
I'm assuming he's in Europe, but
I don't know where our boy Hugo is.
He's got to be in Europe at this point if he's playing.
Let's see. The first one I get for Hugo Bosson as the vice president in strategy at the org. So I'm assuming I'm spelling that wrong, but
It's like Besson.
oh no, I spelled it right then.
All right. Well.
Oh, it's Besson. Besson.
Oh.
Oh my god. Yeah, he where is he at these days? He is with Tofas of a league in Turkey.
All right. Hey, Turkish basketball. They care. Good for him.
Oh, and you know what the fun thing is? His draft rights were traded to the Knicks, I think in that
Was it in the Jericho Sims
yeah,
trade?
because it's a February 6th of 2020 or
No.
yes, that is because remember the Jericho Sims trade got roped in with the Kuzma trade.
Oh, right.
So
I should know. I literally yeah, that's right. I kept thinking, wow, yeah, no, it was.
because his draft rights were traded to the Knicks.
Yep, it
In
was
that deal.
Alon Wright for Jericho
Jericho
Sims.
and Cash.
Yeah. Huh.
There's more coming out of that trade as time goes on. Look at that.
Gotta love it.
But we should also talk about the two guys who the Bucks let go to get Dieng on the team. Well, technically four, if you really want to think about it. Because at least that was currently on the roster. For those who haven't seen the trade already, quick recap. The Bucks initially traded Amir Coffey and Cole Anthony to the Suns for Nick Richards and Nigel Hayes, Wisconsin legend, bleh, in my opinion, but that's just me. And then when that went down, we're like, oh, what does this mean for Bobby? They got a Bobby trade cooking up and the new backup center. Nope, we were wrong. They ended up trading Nick Richards. They ended up expanding it to a 3-team trade, trading Nick Richards to the Bulls for Dieng, who they got in the Kobe White trade after Dieng was traded to the Hornets in the Mason Plumlee trade.
Wild sequence of events there.
And then the Bucks didn't even roster Hayes. They cut him once the trade was finalized. So currently, as we've been talking about, they have one open roster spot. But albeit half a season plus of those guys, but what are you going to remember the most about the Amir Coffey and the Cole Anthony era of Milwaukee Bucks basketball?
I feel like with Amir Coffey, it was what was the point? What was the point? Like, I was skeptical of him making it. Granted, I was still holding out some hope for Tyler Smith. I was like, I don't understand the point of having Amir Coffey. I don't understand it. And then he started. I'm like, I still don't understand it. And then just racked up a bunch of DMPs. And I was like, okay. And then they guaranteed his contract. I was like, well, what was the point of that? Like, I feel like I just constantly say, what was the point of Amir Coffey? And I'm going to stay with that. And Cole Anthony, I feel like it was a very what could have been / expecting too much too soon because he started off really strong. And I was like, oh, we have a play. Like, he can get the ball. He can make passes that I've not seen a Bucks point guard make in years, maybe even a decade or two.
Mm-hmm.
And he started off well. And I was like, okay, Cole Anthony. And it was, at one point, it was like, the Bucks have 3 good point guards. Like, they got Kevin Porter Jr. who could do it. They got Ryan Rollins, who's emerging. And you got Cole Anthony. Like, Bucks have 3 capable point guards. And then it just went downhill. And then the dribbling got real frustrating. And then not only the dribbling, was like the dribbling with the questionable pass. It just went downhill quickly. And then it was clear that, okay, this is not a guy who should be getting consistent minutes. Like, that part of his career seems to have been over, but it started so well.
Yeah.
Like, I looked at the grades when I was recapping. I was like, oh yeah, I was like A. I think he got like an A in his first grade. It was like A's and B pluses, and the lowest was like a B minus, but it was like consistently like a B to A minus range.
Yeah.
And then you just see a bunch of F's.
I meant to ask you beforehand, so no worries about it. But like, I was wondering, like, what were like Amir and Cole's like final grades as Bucks? I don't know how many games they played after your like mid-season grade
I
to
don't even
game
think I
out.
gave Amir Coffey a grade because he just didn't play. Like, it had gotten to the point with Amir Coffey where it's like he had racked up all these DMPs. Like, basically, he had the same grade as he did in the first quarter, and it was still like, I would say like a B minus C plus range.
Okay.
Cole Anthony definitely went downhill, and then he racked up a bunch of and then it was the same thing. It was like he just racked up a bunch of DMPs. Like, it got to like mid December 14th, he had an F, and then he went from then until pretty much January 21st. So he went up pretty much a month just racking up a bunch of DMPs. So then I was kind of like, all right. And then when he got back into the rotation, I was like, okay, B, cool. It was like B, and then it was a D plus, a C minus, an F, a D minus, a B minus. So it was also like, it was very inconsistent. So I think he averaged like a C minus, D plus range grade near the end.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. I was just like, I was thinking about that. I'm like, what are our final report cards on Amir Coffey?
Yeah, but Amir Coffey was at a C because he just did not contribute it. Actually, no, he's down to if I include the latest games, he was down to a C minus.
Oh dang! Even with his game against the Pelicans, it didn't raise it up that much.
Yeah, but he had a D plus earlier. He had a D plus in the Celtics game. No, not the Celtics. The Bulls game. He had a D plus.
Yeah, I remember giving him a D plus for that. He was not good against the Bulls.
Yes, he had a good Pelicans game. He had a bad Bulls game.
Yeah. Okay, that counteracted that. Okay, I guess that.
Yeah, no, it's very much Amir Coffey. I'm in the what was the point? And Cole Anthony, it started well, and it just didn't continue after that.
Yeah, and Doc kind of even talked about that on Friday, before the game about Cole, where it's like he started out really well and then just really struggled after that. And I agree with you, like the whole point of like, especially with how, and again, hindsight's 2020. Like, I'm sure like positionally, you would much rather have kept Tyler Smith as an extra like bigger body, with obviously Giannis going out and Kuzma having some injury things and Taurean Prince being out. So that is 2020. But it's like, if for me, and I always said, like, you went through all this hoopla to get this guy on the exhibit 9 because your roster was full, and then you cut Tyler Smith to get him on the roster. You play him even off the bench early on, and then you just stopped playing him for like 2 months, and then didn't start playing him again until the injury started piling up again. So I agree with you full-fledged on the.
And it was like, I understand more at the beginning if he didn't play because you still had Taurean Prince who was healthy, but it was like he wasn't even playing when Taurean Prince was out. Andre Jackson Jr. wasn't getting chances either. So it was like, even when you had guys that you were competing with positionally not available and you're still racking up DMPs, it's like, okay, clearly there's nothing there.
Yeah, his peak of his powers with the Clippers have clearly, the best of his career is clearly behind him. I mean, who knows? Maybe he'll be part of the Dylan Brooks culture change if the Suns opt to keep him.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think I saw. I don't know how verifiable this report is, but I think the Suns are likely to cut Cole Anthony and probably convert Jamari Bouye. I think that's what I saw, but we'll see about we'll see about that. I mean, Bouye has been really good for them. Like I know we early on we were kind of defending like Mark Sears and everything and saying, oh, the Bucks should give him chances. And obviously, like, imagine like if they like when those other guys were out, imagine if they kept like you had Bouye, Nance, and Alex Antetokounmpo as your 3 two-way guys. Or basically your two-way guys.
Yeah.
Unless it's like the last game of the season and they just want to do it. Like, Alex is never playing in an NBA game.
Yeah. What a waste of a two-way spot.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if it's just a two-way spot, like
at least it's only a two-way spot. Like, but here's also the thing. it's not like Thanasis where it's like, oh no, Thanasis is like he's like the culture guy. Like he is there to keep there's a
Yeah,
reason why you keep him. Like you can
yeah.
see it.
That's why you give him a guaranteed contract.
You see how the teammates react to him. You see, like you can understand it. But with Alex, is like, no, you don't provide that.
Maybe he's that guy for the herd. Maybe we just don't know.
Maybe. Could be Cormac Ryan though. I don't know. Maybe Cormac Ryan's the one that was.
Could be. But I mean, like thinking about it, like league wide, like how many teams have like 3 two-way guys who have like made some sort of impact on the season? Like I think the max, I think was Philly or like the Clippers who had 2, where it was like Jordan Miller and Kobe Sanders for the Clippers are their 2 guys. And then because they converted them, I think the Celtics converted Amari Williams.
Mm-hmm.
So there's it's not like,
oh yeah, like
that
two ways are always a
two-way
crapshoot.
Yeah, they're a crapshoot, and even if you do have some that pop off, it's usually only 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah.
So if it keeps Giannis happy to have the brothers together, keep that third two-way spot until Giannis retires.
Yeah, that's fine. But if not, we gotta get out of here.
You gotta go. Oh my gosh. All right. Now that we've focused on all of that, we have a magical weekend or week ahead of us for the Milwaukee Bucks. 3 road games before their trip to the NBA, or not the All-Star break. I almost said NBA Finals. Calm down. Giannis obviously is not going to play in that, but I think the Bucks are sending DJ Shauna and one other person to All-Star weekend. So,
well, there's also rumors Giannis might play if he makes it healthy enough. Like that's been floated around as a possibility,
yeah.
but
And I mean,
we're just gonna assume he's not playing.
Yeah, Doc did say he is close to returning. So, shoot, he may return this week. We'll see. It would be in their best interest for him to sit this week and sit All-Star break, and maybe he checks in for like just to check in and like get a layup and gets checked out.
Throw a lob pass to someone.
Yeah. Or like just take a 3. Just take a 3 and be done with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they have the Magic twice. They have them today as you're listening to this on Monday. Then they have them again on Wednesday. And then in the infinite wisdom of the NBA universe, they have them back to back with the defending champs in OKC on Thursday. I think that's dumb. I think All-Star weekend starts on Friday. So I guess like you don't no teams playing that day. But honestly, you could have just had like the Bucks play like Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and just be done with it. There's no point to have like 2 days off in between games and then a day between a back-to-back.
Even if you wanted to be cruel, you could have them play Sunday and then have them play Tuesday, Wednesday, back-to-back.
Yeah. Like even that would have been a lot better than having them like play the day before All-Star weekend starts.
Yeah.
So, but what are your predictions for this week with 2 games in everyone's favorite swamp?
0-3. We got a 3-game winning streak. That was nice. 0-3 this week. And it's just more, they're just better teams than the Bucks.
Hey, if you don't know, I think honestly we might see Jericho Sims start 2 more games this week. He's going to be
true.
That unless Kuzma plays, he's going to be the Paolo stopper. Or they might start both of them and have one of them take Franz and the other one take Paolo.
They should do that. For peak entertainment and hilarity. Do that.
I'm going to say 1 and 2. I think they get one of those 2 Magic games. I think maybe like I would prefer like they get the one on Monday. So that way, like, okay, we get our 1 win against the Magic and we'll like maybe take our foot off the gas a little bit on Wednesday with OKC coming up on Thursday. So that way we have like, we can be competitive and not get blown out by 20 in the first quarter. I think that should be the goal this week. Beat the Magic on Monday, play competitive enough, but don't like kill yourself to win on Wednesday, and then go out into the All-Star break on a positive note with a competitive loss to OKC. Is there a chance they win? Sure, there's always a chance a team wins, but I think the realistic expectation would be, and the hope would be, a competitive loss against OKC on their home floor.
I'd agree. Yeah, I'd feel like, plus if they win on Monday, that's a 4-game winning streak. That sounds really nice.
Yes.
You could say
Winners
like,
of
hey,
4 of their last 6?
Right. You could say in the last 2 weeks, they only lost 2 games.
Exactly. And then they could make it, let's see, 5 of their last 7 if they beat the Pelicans out of the All-Star break. Just saying.
That sounds a lot nicer.
oh my gosh, that's awesome. So it'll be an interesting week for sure, and we'll see. I don't even remember. I have to check the injury report, see like who is even in or out for the Magic right now. I don't know what injuries they're kind of dealing with, but hey, it's their first look at the new look Magic with Desmond Bane. So hey, get some.
Oh, yeah,
it's crazy
true.
that they've waited until February to play the Magic, and if it wasn't for that after the play or in-season tournament game, they wouldn't have played the Celtics until that game on last Sunday.
Yeah,
so I just find it's just
weird.
very interesting. But that's enough of the basketball talk, because as we're recording this, it is Super Bowl Sunday. So by the time you guys are listening to this, you will know who is hosting the Lombardi Trophy in the 60th Super Bowl. Seattle Seahawks, obviously New England Patriots, rematch of the 1 yard line Super Bowl. Great game. That I feel so bad. That's your main curse catch, has it kind of just been lost to history now because of that interception.
It should have been the Packers in that Super Bowl, but I digress.
Oh, that's right. That was the Brandon Bostic NFC Championship game.
So for me, I'm always like, Packers wouldn't have blown that. They would have thrown Aaron Rodgers would have thrown a pick on the 1 yard line. That's always been my yeah.
Even if it got to that situation, honest, like I don't even know how good that Packers defense was that year. I have a sneaking suspicion it would have been like the Patriots would have just kind of run all over them.
Maybe, yeah. The defense wasn't great, but that offense was that good.
That was the first MVP for Aaron Rodgers?
No, his second.
Okay. Oh, right.
Because they had 2011, but
he had the year after they won the Super Bowl when they went like 15-1 or something.
Yep.
Man, that Bear season is so lost to me. I don't even put that into my consciousness of like how they did that.
I always view that Super Bowl as like a whatever. It is. What it
is. Yeah, but it should be interesting. Drake May versus Sam Darnold, 2 former 3rd overall picks. Funny enough, both drafted by AFC East teams. Obviously, one of them's not in the AFC East anymore for Jets reasons. So it should be a fun game. I like the lineup of entertainment that they have. I think obviously Green Day is the opening ceremony, and then Bad Bunny as the halftime show is like, and it is jokingly, because I know they're not, because considering like who the owners of the teams are, like is the NFL going woke? Like, is this what's going on to have Green Day and Bad Bunny? And I was actually talking about this with my mom the other day, where it's like, oh, you had like Paul McCartney and like Shakira and all these other people who were like not U.S. citizens.
Rihanna.
Yeah, Rihanna, who are not U.S. citizens, performing the halftime show. Crickets. Bad Bunny, who's from Puerto Rico, who is a U.S. citizen. Oh, now you have a problem with what's going on here.
Oh, so dumb. And then you have a whole other halftime show, and it's like, yeah, your lead guy is this Canadian that was born in Michigan, but also has a lot in common with the president in terms of PDFs, let's just say.
Yep, he's a big fan of using Adobe Acrobat to read some PDF files.
Yep, can't be anyone over a certain age. Not his interest.
No, but getting to back to the game itself, we talked a little bit about this before we started recording. But like, I don't even know if I asked your prediction. And overall, I think you said you were leaning one way or the other. But like, what is your prediction for tonight's festivities?
I think I said as long as Sam Darnold does not play a disaster game, then Seattle will be fine. I'm leaning Seattle winning. I feel like it's going to be. I won't give an exact score because I don't know, but I feel like it's going to be like a Seattle win in like the 5 to 9 point range. Like I feel like there will be a late touchdown by the Patriots, and then they won't be able to recover the onside kick, or it'll get like the Patriots will be within striking distance, but I don't think they quite get over the line. So I'm going to say Seattle wins.
Before I give my prediction, I have a little bit of All-Star Bucks news. Bobby Portis is going to be in the 3-point contest, which is cool. But here's the crazier thing. Damian Lillard is returning to the 3-point contest.
What? I don't know which of those things makes less sense to me. No, actually, it's the guy that tore his Achilles and is not even playing basketball. Like, what is he gonna do? Like, hobble his way to the 3-point like rack? Like, what?
Yeah, he's because he's the 2-time champ. He's won the last 2, right?
He won last year. But like, what is he gonna do? Like, get on a scooter and just like,
well,
one knee on the scooter while he's hoisting.
Well, I mean, he tore it in April, and it's almost been a year. That's 10 months. I mean, you see where Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton are, and they tore their Achilles later in April and May and June for Halliburton.
Sure.
So, yeah. So, and then here's the full lineup for those who haven't read it yet when we're listening to this. It's Devin Booker, Con Knipple, Dame, Tyrese Maxey, Donovan Mitchell, Jamal Murray, Norman Powell, and Bobby Portis.
See, a lot of those names make sense.
Yeah. It's the Damian Lillard thing is what throws me off even more than anything else.
Yeah. Plus, out of all the Bucks players, Bobby's the one that's in the 3-point contest.
I mean, he's like
one of the leaders in
3-point percentage. Like,
Bobby does not strike me as a shoots threes quick enough to win kind of guy, though. That's the problem.
Let's see. I don't even remember what he's shooting this season. Let's see. 3-point percentage. Bobby Portis is tied for 5th in the league with Sam Merrill. So another Buck in there, former Buck, and then Luke Kennard leads the league, and I mean he's taken 4 a game, so he's doing a pretty good volume.
No, yeah, I just feel like Bobby's shot would like release his like shooting. It's just slow. It feels like it's a slow shooting motion, which does not bode well in a 3-point contest. Yeah,
and you know what the biggest, honestly, just a random thought. You know what the biggest travesty is with how well Taurean Prince shot it from 3? He did not get in the 3-point contest. Like, that's a guy who, like, as just a like role playing 3-point shooter, that's a guy who could do well in the 3-point contest.
Yeah,
because I remember when I went and when it was in Indy and they had Malik Beasley and Dame in there. Yeah, he is. Yeah, Dame is the back-to-back champ of 3-point contest.
All right.
So yeah, it was just like Malik Beasley did so bad in that, but I was just thinking like, damn, Taurean Prince should have gotten a chance to be in the 3-point contest.
Oh man, what a time!
Yeah, Damian Lillard in the 3-point contest is nuts. So that'll be fun to watch. They just need to have like next year, like if Curry is retiring after this upcoming season, they need at that All-Star break, they need to have like Steph, Dame, Clay, Cat, and then like whoever else is shooting well that's an All-Star, just as like to go out. Heck, just throw LeBron out there for one.
Why not?
Yeah, let it just throw all the old head like legends out there. Just Curry, Dame, Clay, KD, LeBron, I can't even think who else. Chris Paul.
Like, I guess James Harden.
Oh yeah, James Harden. Throw James Harden out there.
Yeah.
That's 7 spots. So hey, NBA, listen in. We got ideas for you. Just call it the the 3-point contest.
Oh yeah.
See 42-year-old LeBron just chucking threes.
Oh man.
Just let him on the last one, let him spin the ball as a little FU3 for the culture.
Knowing LeBron, he's gonna have to do this kind of like fake jab, like pull up three, just end it.
For like the super long range ones.
Yeah, the one that he always seems to make.
But getting back to the Super Bowl for a second.
Right.
I'm going with Seattle too, just for the simple fact of like I don't want to see the Patriots add like a 7th Super Bowl title to this, to their repertoire. And honestly, depending on how this game goes, this could be like Super Bowl 20-esque for the Patriots. Like I don't think they're gonna lose by like 36, like when they lost to the Bears. But I think there is a realm of possibility where it's like a 28-10, 31-10 game if like Seattle's defense just gets after Drake May.
Yeah. I feel like Seattle's offense is going to get off to such a hot start where I feel like it's good. Like Seattle might score like 20 and a quarter in one of like the first or second quarter. I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like all of a sudden you look up at halftime, it's like 21-8, and you're like, what? How did this happen?
The only thing I don't want to see, just for my own sake, is like a Rashid Shaheed like kickoff return touchdown that's faster than Devin Hester's. Like that is the one shining moment in my 26 years on, or soon to be 26 years on this planet as a Bears fan, is to have the fastest score in Super Bowl history with that Devin Hester kickoff return touchdown.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be broken.
Yeah. So just Rashid Shaheed, just don't do that. That's all I ask. All right, let's get to it's not exactly a film review based on what I'm seeing from the title, but I'm very excited to hear about this.
I'm not done with the game, so I'm going to preface this. I am almost 2/3. Ghost of Yoeti. So I got it for Christmas. It's the sequel, quote unquote, of Ghost of Tsushima on the PlayStation, great PlayStation game. But it's a sequel in name and I guess kind of theory, but like there's not a lot of tie-in storyline wise.
Okay.
Like, so it feels weird calling it a sequel. It's like, it's just more of like the gameplay, the mechanics are all similar, but realistically storyline, not even close. Anyway, typical revenge story. Someone comes in, murders family, leaves you left for dead. You survive. You want to get revenge on the people involved. Got through one of the main bosses, find out that the main character's brother is alive. And you're like, oh, that's wild. And then you kind of go through this whole, like, they're both going through this, like, okay, so you've been alive for the last 15, 16 years, and I just didn't know you like had a whole new life. But then they bond and they get together. Like it's a good story. But yeah, so getting through the first part of the game, that was fun. Now I'm in this region where it's just snowing and blizzard, and I'm like, I hate this with a passion. Because as time goes on and you're in this blizzard, your health decreases and damage that you take increases. So it's like, not only am I in this blizzard, I am now having to deal with, if I get hit, I lose more health. It's very frustrating. But that one storyline, like, it's not as good as the first arc.
Okay.
But I think that's more like, there was like an emotional element with the first arc, while the second arc, it's kind of like, I know there's a big reveal coming, and I think I know what that reveal is, but also it's like, it's not really doing anything for me. I think I've also been doing a lot more side missions, which might be the reason why I'm not. I did the main story like a good chunk, and then did a whole bunch of side missions so I can learn, because you get a new weapon as well. So you
Ooh.
get the Kusarigama. So you have that. So I think that was like also why I was like trying to build up that skill. But it's been good so far. The region is great. It's a beautiful game. I love it. I would highly recommend if you have a PlayStation, highly, highly, highly recommend getting the game.
Yeah, my brother got like the special edition of Ghost of Tsushima, where he even got like the PS4 background thingy
Oh
for
yeah.
it on the home screen. So like he and like he was really excited about it. He hasn't gotten it yet. He's a teacher, so he's obviously busy during the week, but then also he's been playing some other games, and I also got him Elden Ring.
Oh
So
yeah, that'll take up a lot of time.
so that's, but yeah, I'm sure that I think that's probably going to be Nicholas. Don't listen to this podcast. That's probably going to be my birthday gift to him. Is probably Ghost of Yote. Yeah, I'm excited for him to have that, and that sounds like such a fun game. Like I play a lot of sports games, but like I am like dying for like a good story mode game these days.
And I think that's like the nice thing is like the story is good and also obviously visually amazing. Like the graphics, the scenery, like they really crushed it. But it is also a game that you can like pick up. And yes, there's side missions that like can be a little bit lengthy, but you can like run through those quickly if you like sit down for like 30 to 45 minutes uninterrupted. You can knock out like a couple side quests as well, which I always enjoy because sometimes I get myself distracted and I'm like, oh yeah, I was meant to do this, but then these other three were right here, so I may as well do it.
Yeah, in any of those story games, that's usually how I get. It's just how it goes, man.
I was like, oh right, I'm supposed to go the other side of the map. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'll get there. So yes, overall, it's been pretty good. Highly recommend getting it. The story's been nice. Like I said, it is your typical revenge story, but there's some depth to it so far.
Well, that's awesome. I can't wait to hear the next time you're on and see how, if you finished it by then, or if you've just done all the side
Probably
quests
not, but I'll
versus
probably get by the second boss at that point. Probably won't be.
okay. Well, regardless, I'm very excited to hear how the rest of this journey pans out, and I'm yeah, that's always fun. That's always fun to hear that kind of stuff. So I'm really looking forward to it. But thank you for, if you stayed with us this long through about now an hour and a half of this podcast with some late breaking news at the end. Thank you very much for doing so. We appreciate you all who listen or watch on YouTube. Please make sure to go ahead and follow us or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and also subscribe on the YouTube channel. And then for also, of course, all our written content, including game previews and game coverage at large, and just the state of the team and what this team looks like going forward. You had like what the Bucks looks like, the roster looks like now post trade deadline. So if you need a refresher and see like who's in and who's out, please go ahead and make sure to read that. We appreciate everyone going on the site and making our dreams possible by doing this. So that's going to do it for us, and we will see you all next week.